Good morning. It's Sunday morning. Be sure to go to church. I'm not sure whether it's flooding or not. It's kept raining. I've seen reports on TV, but they haven't been out since yesterday, early afternoon, and the road was still not flooded. If the road is flooded, I got another way to get out of here and get to church, and it's kind of on the high road. The road I usually go goes right through town by the river. If the river's out of its banks, it'll be over the road. Well, that's the way it is when you live in Sticksville, here with the rest of us, with the rest of us rural people. We're in Isaiah chapter 3. We began chapter 3 yesterday. This is a condemnation of the rulers of the people, the ruling class, which in their day included the king and his court, all of his lords and generals and soldiers and warriors, and all of the rich people and the big landowners, everyone who had all the money and made all the decisions, and of course the temple class, the high priest and his family, all the priests, all the prophets, everybody that had to do with the service of the temple in Jerusalem. The currently ruling junta, so to speak, at that time. The regime. God doesn't have anything good to say about regimes and bad leaders. He tells it like it is. And the accusation that he has against them boils down to this. He's mad at the shepherds, the rulers of the people, because instead of feeding the flock, they fleece the flock. And instead of feeding the flock, they eat the flock. Oh my. And he is all over them for doing so. This is a condemnation directly at Judah and Jerusalem, but it has implications for us today, because that is the way our leaders have done to us for most of my life. Not all of it, but most. So, beginning in chapter 3 of the book of the prophet Isaiah. Good morning, Charlie. I hope things are well with you today. I hope Gala is continuing to improve. We prayed for y'all yesterday, Velda and I, in our prayer time, which is kind of hard to define nowadays because we seem to be praying a lot, which is good. But that definite time's not a set time. It's whenever we're both awake and conscious and functioning and get to it. Chapter 3, the book of Isaiah. We began yesterday in verse 1. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread, and the whole staff of water. The whole stay of bread and the whole staff of water. Now, if we look back at Leviticus, we get the true meaning of this. I neglected to mention this yesterday. I was talking about the penalties and curses for disobedience in the law that he gave Moses. And so, roughly 750 years, 700 years before Isaiah writes, Moses in the wilderness writes down the Levitical law and the curses when God has brought a sword upon their land for their punishment, when he would deliver them in the hands of the enemy. And this is a little bit of how this goes, beginning in verse 21 of Leviticus 26. God gives them blessings. See, he's given them blessings. If you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments, I'll give you rain in due season. I'll bless you. Everything will be hunky-dory. But then it comes down if you don't. And that is in verse 21. And if ye walk contrary unto me, if you walk contrary unto me, many of us are contrary unto the Lord today. And if you walk contrary unto me and will not hearken unto me, many do not hearken unto the Lord. If ye walk contrary unto me and will not hearken to me, I will bring 7 times more plagues upon you according to your sins. In other words, he's just given them the blessings, and I'm not going to take the time to read them all. You can read them. They begin in chapter 26, Leviticus, verse 3. But if you walk contrary to me and don't obey me, my laws, my statutes, my commandments, then you will have 7 times more cursing than you would have had blessing for doing it. Not only is he going to make it bad on them, he's going to make it real bad on them. Think about it. Verse 21, 26, Leviticus, and if you walk contrary unto me and will not hearken unto me, I will bring 7 times more plagues upon you according to your sins. And I will also send wild beasts among you, which shall rob you of your children and destroy your cattle, and make you few in number, and your highways shall be desolate. You know, something to think about. The only thing anybody talks about TV is about Trump. It seems to be all that we can talk about on the news. So you have to dig. But did you know that the mauling and eating of people by wild animals is increasing at a exponential rate? That every year for the last 10 in our wildlife areas and in our national parks, on the edges of our national parks, especially places like Yosemite and Yellowstone, that there have been children and all manner of people stolen, dragged off, eaten by bears, wolves, cougars, what we call mountain lions in the West. If you encroach upon nature enough, we're in their area, they're going to strike back. God talks about this. He says, I will send wild beasts among you, which shall rob you of your children and destroy your cattle and make you few in number, and your highways shall be desolate. And if you will not be reformed by me by these things, but will walk contrary unto me, then will I also walk contrary unto you, and will punish you yet 7 times, which means another 7 times. It's going to get worse, 7 times worse than it is for your sins. And I will bring a sword upon you that shall avenge the quarrel of my covenant. And when ye are gathered together within your cities, I will send a pestilence among you. And you shall be delivered into the hand of the enemy. And when I have broken the staff of your bread, there it is, the stay of water and the stay of bread. When I've broken the staff of your bread, 10 women shall bake your bread in one oven, and they shall deliver you your bread again by weight. And ye shall eat and not be satisfied. For behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water, the mighty men and the men of war, the judge and the prophet and the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50 and the honorable man, and the counselor and the cunning artificer and the eloquent orator. I will take them all away. Really respectable people, the smart people, the godly people. I will take them all away. Where all you're left with is fools for leaders. Fools. Liars. Cheats. Scoundrels. Con men. And the result, I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. Of course, the babes could be an old man who is at the head of a regime and behaves like a petulant child. That could be a babe emotionally, mentally, spiritually, a child with no understanding, a child who just says, gimme, a child. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. And the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. And a child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. Hey, boomer. Now we pick up in verse 6 as he attacks the regime of his day, of Isaiah's day. It's a time when the poverty and the want and the need that he allows to happen in a country comes to its apex. And things get so bad that normal rules and normal conduct no longer apply. Can you imagine? I can't. But he's talking about, we're talking in 760 BC here. Surely it couldn't have anything to do with us today, could it? When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, thou hast clothing, be our ruler. In other words, you have a suit of clothes. You look good. You be the king. Good morning, Pastor. I hope things are well where you are. Thou hast clothing, be our ruler, and let this ruin be under our hand. You be our captain with your hand on the con. You take the con while the ship sinks. How would you like to be that? When a man shall take hold of his brother of the house of his father, saying, thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand. And that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be a healer. Not I. The word swear here means literally to lift up the hand. I will not be a leader. I will not be a healer. In my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. It's like I may have my integrity left, but I have no position. I have no money. I have no men following me. I can't help you. And someone like me might say, well, I know how to fix your electrical problem. That was my trade from youth. I can rewire it. I can fix it. I can replace everything that's burned out. I can restore it. But my hands won't work anymore. And my legs won't stand me on a ladder. And I can't see good enough to do the work. I could tell somebody how to do it, but then I couldn't be sure that they're doing it right because I can't see and get down and look at what they're doing, like under the house and in the attic. I know what that feels like. I still have integrity, this man says in verse 7. I still have a suit of clothes which represents what I used to be. Yeah, I got a nice jacket. I got a red shirt. I look presentable. But I'm near the end, not the beginning. I'm 70 years old. I'm sure we got a few more sermons left in us, but the Lord is coming soon. How can I help you if I can't help myself? You know, the house needs some TLC outside, but I can't do it. I'm just praying that the guy who mowed my lawn last year will come mow it again. If he doesn't, I'll have to find somebody else. I know what this guy feels like. Verse 6, Isaiah 3. Surely, God bless you. I'm looking forward to seeing you at church. I'm glad you're up and ready to go. If you can get out, I hope you're not flooded. Although I don't know what there would be there on your road to flood. And when a man shall take hold of his brother or the house of his father, saying, Thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand. And that day shall he swear, saying, he will lift up his hand and swear, not I. And that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be an healer. For in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. What he's saying is, all I have is the clothes of my back. I can't help you. It's the way it was back in the Depression, when they treated our people like pigs, threw them off the land, ran them out. They were out on the road. They went out to the West Coast, some to Washington, some to Oregon, most to California, and many dropping out and just landing wherever they landed in between here and there. All they had was the clothes on their back. In that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be an healer. For in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen. You see, you have to be at least as old as I am. And I was on the very tail end of it, but I saw it. I saw the country, America, the United States of America. I saw it in all its pride and glory. I saw its churches full. I saw its streets alive with business. Nothing was out of reach. I saw consumer goods. I remember my grandmother wanting a washing machine. I remember seeing all the things on TV that you could buy. And we bought many of them. See the USA in a Chevrolet. Remember, they got that song and they sponsored the Dinah Shore show. And good old Dinah. Shrimp boats is a coming there, you know. I love Dinah Shore. So did Bert. No, Uncle Fane danced with her in a USO show. She came with a USO show to Europe after D-Day. And my uncle was in Patton's army, and he got to dance with her at the USO party. He told me that several times. I'm sure it made an impression on him. But Dinah Shore, they were the sponsor of the Dinah Shore variety show. Then Dinah Shore introduced that song, See the USA in a Chevrolet. Bonanza coming on TV in living color, but we didn't have a color TV. Everything was black and white in my house until about 64 or 5. Although I did see Bobby get killed in color. I had to see the president get killed in black and white. I saw it in its pride and all its glory. I saw it when we were rich. I saw it when, because of the Great Society, because of the New Deal, because of the Fair Deal, because of the New Frontier, I saw it in all its pride and glory before the fall. Everything had a glint to it. Nothing was impossible. You know, it was like the old Temptations song. I got sunshine on a rainy day. My daddy taught me to read books. I learned how to read at school. But Daddy had stacks and stacks of books. He always had a paperback in his hip pocket. If he was standing in line, he'd be reading his paperback. Anything was possible. We went to church and they were full. Wherever you went to church, it was full. Didn't matter whether you went to Assumption, which is a Catholic church up the road, or Little York Baptist Church, or the Methodist Church, or the Lutheran Church. They was full every Sunday morning. All churches were full on Sunday morning. The music was great. The voices. Sinatra was still the king. Well, Elvis was the king, but Sinatra was still dominant. Daddy's favorites were Sinatra and Perry Como and the Platters. Plus, on the countryside, Ray Price, George Jones, and the guy out of Bakersfield that just started to cut records, Buck Owens. I kept getting confused with George Jones because they both had flat top haircuts at the time. Millie, God bless you, sister. But it didn't matter. Every church was full. Nobody was hungry. We were poor on the north side of Houston, but we had plenty. The railroad came through the main line and went from Houston to Dallas. There were double tracks. The main one ran between East Hardy and West Hardy. I think it's a toll road now. And I lived on the wrong side of those tracks. And hobos would sometimes get off there so that they wouldn't get caught in town. They'd make their way through town some other way. And sometimes hobos came by. Nanny would feed them. She didn't let them come inside. They had to eat out on the porch, but she fed them. It didn't look to me like we had much compared to other people that I went to school with, but we always had plenty. Of course, then Daddy did well, beginning in the early 60s. But I'm telling you all this to tell you that I saw it before it was destroyed by greed, insanity, hate. I saw it all and said, well, Jimmy, there was racial strife back then. Yeah, there was. But see, I lived through it. It's not something I saw it on TV. You know, when they integrated the Houston schools, Sam Houston High School, there was a bunch of us that did the best that we could to make friends with black kids if we didn't know them, because we knew that they were just there as politics, you know. And this is something for grown-ups to fight about, and we're not going to fight about it at school, although they did for a couple of days. But my daddy was on that board of parents that tried to make the peace and put things all together. And he was a product of his generation, but he knew it was wrong to hold back or mistreat anybody. Yeah, we went through some problems. We had some problems. But that was when we could still talk. We can't talk anymore. The country has become like a man and a woman who have been through so much terror that they've inflicted on each other that they can't even be civil to one another anymore. And they pass off their children or whatever business they have through nannies and lawyers and striped pants bankers. That's the country today. But I saw it in all its pride and all its glory. I saw it. It existed. It was dealt a mortal blow on November 22nd, 1963. It was delivered another mortal blow on September 11th, 2001. And now we're in the act of dying. For the United States is ruined. I mean, for Jerusalem is ruined. I'm sorry, I got off a little bit with a comparison. But it is eerily similar, is it not? For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord. There is none righteous, no, not one. They are altogether unprofitable. There is no fear of God before their eyes. Their feet rush to mischief. For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord. Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord. There is none righteous, as it is written. Good morning, Margaret. There is none righteous, no, not one. There is none that understandeth. There is none that seeketh after God. They are all gone out of the way. They are together become unprofitable. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Their throat is an open sepulchre. With their tongues they have used deceit. The poison of asps is under their lips, whose mouth is full of cursing and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Destruction and misery are in their ways, and the way of peace have they not known. There is no fear of God before their eyes. For the United States is fallen. For Jerusalem is ruined, and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory. Go to church today. Pray that God will deliver us. Pray that God will send revival. Pray for everything you used to have and whatever you have left, and commit it to the Lord. For I know whom I have believed, and am persuaded that he is able to keep that which I have committed unto him against that day. God love you.